Maya Johnson's world shattered when her classmates cornered her in the locker room and poured bleach over her beautiful curls. Brittany, Haley, and Jenna, the self-proclaimed queens of Jefferson High, thought humiliating her would make them untouchable. But what they didn't know was that Maya had been sharpening a hidden strength night after night in the dojo. And just wait until you see the breathtaking twist that turned their cruelty into her ultimate triumph, proving that justice always finds a way. The locker room at Jefferson High always smelled faintly of sweat and body spray, but that day it carried something far worse: tension. Maya Johnson, a quiet sophomore, slipped inside after gym class. She wasn't the kind of girl who drew attention. She walked with her books pressed to her chest, spoke only when asked, and spent her afternoons in the dojo, practicing karate in silence. At school, though, she was known only for her curls, long, natural, and untamed. To her, they were a crown. To others, an excuse to whisper, to snicker, to single her out. Brittany, Haley, and Jenna, the self-proclaimed queens of Jefferson High, had been watching her for weeks. To them, Maya was different. Different meant weak. Weak meant fun. That afternoon, while the rest of the girls trickled out, the trio blocked the doorway. Brittany's smile wasn't friendly. It was the kind that made the room feel colder. From her bag, she pulled out a small plastic bottle filled with liquid. Haley tilted her head, smirking. Let's see how she looks without that wild mop. Jenna giggled nervously, but didn't stop them. She never did. Maya's stomach sank. She took a step back, but the lockers pressed hard against her shoulders. The girls moved closer, their laughter sharp, echoing off the tile walls. Before she could react, hands gripped her arms. The cap twisted open. A sharp, chemical smell filled the air. Maya tried to turn away, but the cold liquid splashed onto her hair. Her curls fizzed, clumped together, the sting prickling her scalp. Their laughter grew louder, bouncing around the room, drowning out everything else. But Maya didn't scream. She didn't cry. She froze, eyes locked forward, jaw clenched. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt, and inside her chest, something else burned. Not fear, not shame, but a rage so sharp it left her trembling. In that moment, Maya made a silent vow. This wasn't the end of her story. This was the beginning. Maya stumbled through the front door that afternoon, her backpack slipping off her shoulder. Her eyes were red and swollen, her steps heavy. Her mother, Angela, froze the moment she saw her. "Baby, what happened to you?" The words cracked with shock and worry. But Maya couldn't bring herself to answer. She brushed past, heading straight to the bathroom. The mirror waited for her there, cold and unforgiving. She leaned in, her breath shaky. Her reflection barely looked like her own. Strips of her curls, the ones she had once called her crown, were gone, uneven and lifeless. Her hands hovered near her head, then slowly touched it. The sting wasn't just on her scalp. It was deeper, in her chest, like a wound no one could see. She turned off the light, shut the door, and sat on the cool tile floor in silence. The laughter of the bullies still echoed in her ears. Every replay of that moment whispered the same lie. You're different. You're weak. You'll never belong. For 2 long days, she didn't return to school. She stayed in her room, blinds closed, phone silenced. Even the thought of walking down the halls again filled her with dread. Each time her hand brushed against her hair, the ache cut sharper. Not just the ache of what was taken from her, but the ache of dignity stolen, a feeling reduced to nothing in the eyes of others. On the 3rd evening, a knock came at the door. When it opened, there stood Mr. Carter, her karate instructor. A tall, calm man with kind eyes, he carried no judgment, only concern. "I noticed you've been missing from practice," he said gently. "Maya, listen to me. In karate, we don't just train to fight with our hands. We train to fight life, and life can be cruel. But you have already survived more than those girls will ever understand." She looked up at him, tears threatening again. "What are you going to do with this pain?" he asked quietly. The question lingered in the air, heavy and powerful. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about anger. It was about choice. And for the first time since that day in the locker room, Maya felt something shift inside her. 2 weeks later, Maya pushed open the doors of Jefferson High with her backpack slung over one shoulder. The air inside felt heavy with whispers. Some kids laughed under their breath. Others looked at her with pity before quickly glancing away. The sting of those eyes was sharp, but Maya no longer lowered her head. Because something inside her had changed. Every night since that day, she had returned to the dojo. While the world slept, Maya trained. Kick after kick, strike after strike, she poured every ounce of anger, every drop of hurt into discipline. Sweat replaced tears, focus replaced fear. Now her curls were braided back tight, her shoulders squared. She didn't shrink when she walked down the hall, she claimed her space. That afternoon in gym class, the moment came. The trio, Brittany, Haley, and Jenna, spotted her across the floor. The smirks returned, sharp as ever. "Look, it's Fried Head," Haley muttered loud enough for the whole class to hear. A few chuckles followed. Maya didn't flinch. Instead, she turned her head slowly, meeting their eyes. Her gaze was steady, calm, unshaken. "Say it again," Maya's voice cut through the chatter, cold, controlled. "Do it again, and you'll regret it." The room went still. Basketballs stopped bouncing. Sneakers froze on the hardwood. Nobody had ever heard her speak like that. Not timid, not broken, but commanding. For the first time, even Brittany, the boldest of the three, hesitated. The smirk faded, just for a second. In that silence, everyone realized Maya was no longer the girl who walked away in tears. She was something else now. Stronger, sharper, ready. The auditorium was packed. Students filled every row, buzzing with excitement for the Jefferson High talent show. Bright lights flickered across the stage, and one by one, performers stepped forward. Singers, dancers, comedians. Backstage, Maya waited. She could hear the laughter of Brittany and her friends somewhere in the crowd. "What's she gonna do, cry us a poem?" one of them had joked earlier. The memory echoed, but this time it didn't sting. It fueled her. When her name was called, Maya walked barefoot onto the stage. The chatter softened. Whispers spread through the audience, some curious, some skeptical. She bowed. Silence fell. At first, her movements were calm, deliberate, a slow kata, each strike measured, each breath steady. The crowd tilted their heads, unsure of what to expect. Then her pace quickened. Punches snapped through the air like thunderclaps. Her legs spun in precise arcs, kicks cutting with perfect form. Each movement flowed into the next, a storm of control and discipline. A wooden board was placed before her. Maya focused, lifted her hand, and with a sharp strike, split it clean in two. Gasps filled the room. But she wasn't finished. 2 more boards, then 3. Each one shattered under her strikes, the sound echoing like a drumbeat of defiance. Finally, the test she had saved for last, 3 concrete slabs stacked high. The weight of every humiliation, every whisper, every cruel laugh hung in that moment. She closed her eyes, inhaled, then struck down with all the strength she had honed in silence. Crack! The slabs split apart. The auditorium erupted. Cheers, whistles, applause so loud it shook the walls. Students leapt to their feet. Even teachers were clapping in awe. In the crowd, Brittany, Haley, and Jenna sat frozen, jaws slack, their smirks erased. For the first time, they looked small. Maya stood tall in the spotlight, chest rising and falling, not with exhaustion, but with pride. She bowed once more, calm and steady. From that day forward, no one laughed at Maya Johnson. Some offered apologies, others simply stepped aside with newfound respect. She hadn't needed revenge. She hadn't needed to fight them in the halls. She had won by revealing who she truly was: powerful, disciplined, unbreakable. And in that victory, she gave everyone watching something more than a performance. She gave them inspiration.